I'm called Morgan Williams, and at 34, I never imagined I'd find myself standing outside my mother's 60th birthday celebration uninvited. My mom and I were always tight, or so I believed, until my father blocked the doorway with an icy glare. "You're not listed," he said, as if I were a stranger trying to gate-crash a high-profile gala. I saw my sister Brooke smirk as I stood there, gift in hand, heart in pieces. Before I share what happened next, let me know where you're tuning in from. Tap that like button if you've ever felt shut out by those who should care for you most. Growing up as the middle kid in suburban Chicago was tough. I lingered in the gap between my older sister Brooke, the academic prodigy, and my younger brother Tyler, the family's darling. Our family albums tell it all. Brooke stealing the spotlight with her awards, Tyler being fawned over, and me? I was just there, often barely in the frame. Mom, though, was different back then. When I was 7, crushed after being left off Melissa Anderson's birthday invite list, Dad brushed it off with, "Not everyone gets invited to everything." But Mom sat with me, crafting paper party hats. We threw our own little bash, just the two of us. "You're unique, Morgan," she whispered. "Always remember that." At 12, I earned 3rd place in the science fair with my solar system project. Not first, like Brooke always managed, but Mom framed my certificate anyway. "It's not about being number 1, she said. "It's about giving your all." She displayed it alongside Brooke's wall of accolades. Dad took it down 3 days later, saying it cluttered the space, but Mom kept it tucked in her bedside drawer. On my 16th birthday, when friends bailed for a more popular girls' party, Mom drove me 2 hours to the city for a musical I'd been dying to see. We dressed up, dined at a fancy spot, and she made me feel like I was her whole world. "Sometimes it's about quality, not quantity, in relationships," she told me. Those moments were my lifelines, proof someone in my family truly saw me. But things shifted when I left for college. Unlike Brooke, who stayed nearby at Northwestern, I went to Boston University. "Why so far?" Dad grumbled. "Aren't we enough for you?" That physical distance slowly turned emotional. After college, I shocked everyone, including myself, by thriving in tech. While Brooke joined Dad's insurance business and Tyler drifted between bartending gigs, I climbed the corporate ladder fast. By 34, I was director of operations at Vertex Technologies, overseeing 200 employees and a budget that dwarfed Dad's agency. My achievements created a divide. Holiday talks were a minefield. Still at that computer place, Dad would ask, despite the Vertex-branded gift baskets I sent every Christmas. "When are you settling down to give your mom grandkids?" was the inevitable follow-up, even though Brooke and her boyfriend, Jesse, weren't parents either. The real friction was with Brooke. 3 Thanksgivings ago, after too much wine, she cornered me in the kitchen. "You think you're so great with your fancy Boston life," she sneered, slashing the pumpkin pie with extra force. "You don't know what it's like here, dealing with Mom and Dad daily while you send gifts and call that family." "I call every week," I shot back. "I invite you all to visit." She scoffed. "Everything's a contest with you, Morgan. Always has been." The irony was rich, Brooke, who'd always shone while I cheered from the sidelines, accusing me of competing. "That's unfair," I said quietly. "I've worked hard for what I have." Her eyes narrowed. "You think you're above us because you left. Let me tell you, Mom doesn't boast about your job. She doesn't even get what you do. At least I'm here, being a real daughter." Those words stung more than she knew. After that Thanksgiving, Mom's weekly calls dwindled to monthly, then rare. When we spoke, she seemed distant, preoccupied. The woman, who once kept my science fair certificate, now forgot basic details about my life. Tyler followed Brooke's lead. As always, our playful texts turned to one-word replies. The last time I visited, he barely looked up from his phone. Dad was never my biggest supporter, but his disapproval hardened. "Your mom worries about you," he'd say in our rare talks. "All alone in that city, working too much. It's not right for a woman your age." I tried explaining I wasn't alone. I had friends, colleagues, a life I'd built. But to them, success without their version of family was just failure in a fancy suit in a corner office. Mom's growing distance hurt most. The woman who once drove 2 hours for a musical now couldn't spare 5 minutes on the phone without Brooke nearby. "Brooke says you're too busy for us now," she once said, voice faint. "Is that true, Morgan?" No matter how I answered, the story was already set. I was the daughter who left, choosing career over family, the antagonist in a tale I never signed up for. Last Thanksgiving was the final straw. After another jab from Brooke about my empty life, I lost it. At least I built my life from scratch, I said, setting down my fork. I didn't just slide into Dad's business and call that achievement. The table went quiet. Mom looked hurt. Dad's face hardened. I think you should go, Brooke said softly, triumphant. So I did. I packed, called a car, and flew back to Boston that night. No one called to apologize. No one called at all until 3 months later, when I saw Brooke's Facebook post about Mom's 60th birthday bash. Not on Mom's page. She barely used social media, but on Brooke's, with a polished banner for Patricia Williams' 60 Years of Love. The guest list included distant relatives, old neighbors, even Mom's college roommate from Florida. My name was nowhere to be found. I found out about the party while scrolling Facebook late at the office. The screen's blue glow lit my face as I reviewed quarterly reports, the cleaning crew vacuuming around me. This dedication was what my family criticized, but it's also what earned me respect in a tough industry. Morgan! My assistant Rachel popped into the doorway. You're still here? Security's asking if everything's okay. I quickly hid the Facebook tab. Just wrapping up, I said. Rachel nodded, skeptical. Normal people don't work past midnight on Fridays. Since when am I normal? I tried to smile, but it didn't reach my eyes. After she left, I reopened Facebook and scrolled through family photos. Mom's 59th birthday, which I missed for a Tokyo client crisis. Tyler's bartender promotion, which I texted congrats for. Dad and Mom's anniversary dinner. Everyone smiling, except for the space where I should have been. I called Mom directly, late, but she was always a night owl. Morgan, she sounded surprised. Is everything okay? That was our relationship now. Calls meant emergencies. Everything's fine, Mom. I saw your birthday party on Facebook. A pause. Oh, that. I didn't get an invite, I said, hating how small my voice sounded. I thought, she hesitated. Brooke said you were too busy. That big project, the Singapore deal next month. I pinched my nose. Mom, it's your 60th. I'd make time. Her voice softened. Of course you should come. It'd be wonderful to see you. The call was awkward, with Mom giving vague details and sounding oddly hesitant. I booked a first-class ticket to Chicago for the next weekend. $2, $100 I couldn't really afford, but it felt vital. The next morning, I called Rachel. I need Friday off next week, family stuff. You? Taking time off for family? She sounded stunned. Are you okay? Hilarious, I said. Just reschedule the vendor meetings. Preparing for the trip was like planning a campaign. I spent hours picking the perfect gift. A vintage emerald brooch like one Mom admired in her grandmother's collection, plus a luxury spa package for a resort she'd mentioned. Total cost, just under $3,000. Extravagant? Maybe, but I wanted to prove I still knew what made Mom happy despite the distance. I chose a sapphire blue dress, modest enough for Dad's approval, stylish enough to show I was thriving. Not that I needed their validation, I told myself, unconvincingly as I swiped my card. The night before my flight, I rehearsed conversations in my bathroom mirror. Great to see everyone. I practiced, smiling but not too eagerly. The company? It's going well, but let's talk about you. Deflect, don't boast. Brooke, I regret what I said last Thanksgiving, even though she started it. These lines felt like prep for the biggest presentation of my career. In a way, it was. The morning of the flight, Brooke texted. Heard you're coming. Don't make this weekend about you. I stared at those words the whole Uber ride to Logan Airport. I replied, excited to celebrate Mom, and left it at that. The 3-hour flight to Chicago was a mix of hope and dread. I flipped through work files without reading them, then tried my therapist's breathing exercises. Your family triggers old patterns, Dr. Levine had said. You're returning as the adult you are, not the child you were. Easier said than felt. I checked into a downtown hotel instead of my parents' suburban house. Another choice they'd likely see as me acting too good for them, but sleeping in my old room with high school debate pins felt suffocating. I needed a neutral space to retreat if things went south. That evening, I ordered room service and laid out my outfit. The blue dress, low silver heels, and pearl earrings Mom gave me for college graduation. Everything was chosen to say, successful but not flashy, professional but still your daughter. I barely slept. By morning, I convinced myself this trip would either mend everything or sever what little connection remained. I applied makeup with shaky hands, curled my hair, and practiced one last smile in the mirror. "Happy birthday, Mom," I whispered. "I hope you're happy I'm here." The venue was a restored boathouse by Lake Michigan, perfectly Mom's taste. Elegant yet simple, with wooden beams and huge windows catching the April light on the water. I recognized cars in the lot. Uncle Robert's vintage Corvette, Aunt Diana's practical Subaru, Cousin Stephen's motorcycle, familiar as childhood toys. Clutching my gift, I approached the entrance and saw Dad's college friend Thomas smoking outside. "Morgan!" His eyebrows shot up. "My goodness, is that you? It's been ages." "Hi, Mr. Polson," I said, slipping into old politeness. "Good to see you." "You look like your mom did at your age," he said, giving an awkward side hug. "She'll be thrilled you're here. She was just saying she wished all her kids were here today." That comment confused me. Why would Mom say that if she knew I was coming? Before I could ask, Cousin Eliza appeared. "Morgan!" Her surprise was real as she hugged me. "I didn't know you were coming. Brooke said work kept you away, some big project." "I rearranged things," I said carefully, unease growing. "It's Mom's 60th. I wouldn't miss it." Eliza's expression flickered. "Right. Well, everyone's inside. Your mom looks stunning." I followed her to the entrance, where Dad stood greeting guests, his gray hair neat, posture stiff from his reserve days. When he saw me, his face didn't soften. It hardened into the look of childhood scoldings. "Morgan," he said flatly, "what are you doing here?" The question threw me. "I'm here for Mom's birthday," I said, keeping my tone light. "Is that surprising?" He glanced at a clipboard with a guest list. "You're not listed." Those words hung heavy. My face flushed as others watched. "There's a mistake," I said quietly. "I spoke to Mom last week. She said I should come." Dad's expression didn't budge. "No mistake. This party's been planned for months by people who actually care about your mother's life." The deliberate cruelty took my breath away. Guests were pretending not to notice, but they were watching. "Dad," I said softer, "please don't do this. I flew here for this. I just want to wish Mom happy birthday." "You should have called first," he said. "This is a private event for those who make time for family." Before I could reply, Brooke appeared, Jessie trailing behind. She wore a pink dress like one Mom owned, her hair styled in Mom's soft waves, a clear claim to being the true daughter. "Is there a problem?" she asked sweetly, her eyes gleaming. "Morgan's not on the list," Dad repeated. "Oh," Brooke said, her concern theatrical. "That's awkward. I thought we discussed this, Morgan." "After Thanksgiving, we didn't discuss anything," I said, struggling to stay calm. "I spoke to Mom directly." "Mom probably felt pressured," Brooke shrugged. "You know she avoids conflict." I looked past them, searching for Mom inside. "Where is she? I want to talk to her." "She's busy with her real guests," Dad said. "I won't let you upset her on her birthday." Jessie shifted uncomfortably, staring at the ground. He was tall, handsome in a bookish way, his suit slightly oversized. I'd only seen him in photos, and he looked uneasy with the scene. I overheard whispers. "Is that Morgan?" I thought she wasn't speaking to the family. Another voice, maybe Cousin Stephen's wife? And Brooke, not bothering to whisper. She called Mom unsupportive at Thanksgiving. Imagine thinking she'd be welcome after that. It hit me. This rejection wasn't spontaneous. It was planned, maybe even savored. I steadied myself. I wouldn't cry here. "I understand," I said, voice calm. "Please give this to Mom. It's her gift." I handed the wrapped package to Dad, who took it automatically. "Tell her I love her and wish her a wonderful birthday." I met his eyes. That's all I came to say. I turned and walked away, steps measured, refusing to run despite wanting to. Behind me, Brooke's laugh mixed with Dad's low voice, words unclear. My hand shook so badly I couldn't get the key in the ignition. Mascara threatened to streak, but I gripped the steering wheel, breathing. In 2, 3, 4 out, 2, 3, 4. I wouldn't break down in this lot. I was about to start the car when Jesse knocked on my window, startling me. His face was apologetic. I considered driving off but rolled the window down partway. "Morgan," he said, then cleared his throat. "Miss Williams, I mean." "Just Morgan," I said automatically, then frowned. "How do you know to call me Miss Williams?" He glanced at the venue. "I work at Vertex Technologies in Boston, software engineering, 3rd floor. I transferred from Chicago 8 months ago to be near Brooke on weekends. I recognized you today." The universe's irony was brutal. Of all companies, my sister's boyfriend worked at mine. I hadn't connected the dots, too busy with operations. "Does Brooke know you work for me?" I asked. "Not exactly," he admitted. "She knows I'm at Vertex, but not that you're, well, my boss." I nodded. The org chart meant Jesse wasn't my direct report, but I was in his chain. "Can I sit?" he asked, pointing to the passenger seat. "I owe you an explanation." Against my instincts, I unlocked the door. Jesse slid in, making the car feel small. "I should have spoken up in there," he said. "That wasn't right." "Why didn't you?" My tone was sharper than intended. "Family dynamics are tricky," he sighed. "I've only been with Brooke a year, still figuring things out." "That's the Williams family at its best," I said bitterly. "That's why I followed you," Jesse said, turning to me. "What happened wasn't random. It was planned. Last night at the rehearsal dinner, Brooke and your dad discussed what to do if you showed up. Your dad said he'd handle it. Your mom wasn't in that talk." The idea that they'd orchestrated my humiliation was worse than thinking it was spur of the moment. "Does Mom know I tried to come?" I asked. Jessie hesitated. "She asked about you earlier, wondering if you'd surprise her. Brooke said you'd sent regrets weeks ago." "That's a lie," I whispered. I know," Jessie nodded. "Brooke talks about you constantly." "I bet it's all glowing," I said dryly. "It's complicated," he said carefully. "There's jealousy. She compares herself to you, but won't admit it." "Jealous of what?" I scoffed. "She's the golden child. But you're the one who got out," Jessie said. "You built something on your own. And at work," he trailed off. "What?" "You're respected, Morgan. People talk about your leadership, your strategy. When I realized Brooke's sister was the Morgan Williams at Vertex, it was weird reconciling those images. I sat stunned. While I felt like a failure to my family, I was a role model at work without knowing it. "Brooke's been undermining your relationship with your parents," Jessie continued. "Small comments, twisting your absences as rejections, blowing up arguments. When your mom missed you, Brooke would bring up some supposed slight. And Mom believed her. The hurt was raw. Your mom's had health issues," Jessie said gently. "Mild depression, some memory problems. Not severe, but it makes her vulnerable to manipulation. Brooke's been managing her calendar, her meds." The implications hit hard. While I was building my career in Boston, Brooke was crafting a narrative in Chicago where I was the cold daughter who abandoned her family. "Why tell me this?" I asked. "You're dating my sister." Jesse looked at his hands. "Because that was wrong. And at Vertex, I've seen how you treat people, with respect, even when they mess up. The stories don't add up. Also, selfishly, it's awkward when my girlfriend's family drama involves my boss." I laughed despite myself. "Fair point. So what's next?" he asked. I stared at Lake Michigan, its surface sparkling. The easy choice was to drive away, cut ties, and end the pain. The professional in me knew when to cut losses. But the part of me that remembered Mom's paper party hats couldn't let go. "I think it's time for the truth," I said slowly, including with Mom. Jessie nodded, looking relieved and nervous. "I'll back you up, but remember I see these people at holidays." "Don't worry," I said, opening the door. "I've handled tough personalities in business." We walked back to the venue, a strange calm settling over me. This wasn't the plan, but maybe it was what we'd needed for years. Re-entering the boathouse was harder than any boardroom pitch or firing I'd ever done. It took a different courage to face people who'd known me since braces and thought they could define me. Jessie and I slipped in through a side door, avoiding Dad's checkpoint. The party was lively, with 60 guests at round tables. A slideshow of family photos played, my absence glaring. Mom sat at a central table, radiant in a lavender dress, laughing with Uncle Robert, oblivious to the drama at the entrance. Brooke saw us first. her eyes widening, darting between Jesse and me. She moved toward us, but Jesse spoke first, his voice carrying as the room quieted. "Everyone, this is Morgan Williams, Patricia's daughter, and by the way, my boss at Vertex Technologies." Silence fell. Mom's head snapped up, her eyes meeting mine with confusion and joy. "Morgan!" She stood, napkin dropping. "You came." Before I could speak, Brooke reached us, face red. "Jesse, what are you doing?" she hissed. "The right thing," he said calmly. Dad appeared, his face stormy. "I thought I was clear at the door." "You were," I said evenly. "But there's confusion about my place in this family that needs clearing." Mom approached, looking worried. "What's going on, Robert? Why are you angry?" "Morgan, I'm so glad you're here." Her genuine happiness confirmed Jesse's words. She didn't know I'd been turned away. It was both a relief and infuriating. "Mom," I said softly, taking her hands, "did you think I didn't want to come to your birthday?" She blinked. "Well, Brooke said you were swamped with work, that Singapore project." "I never said that," I said firmly. "I told you I'd be here. I took time off, flew in yesterday." "But why?" Her gaze shifted to Brooke, then Dad. "I was just at the door," I said, aware of the audience. "Dad said I wasn't on the list, that this was for people who make time for family." Mom's face shifted to shock. "Robert, is this true?" Dad shifted. "Patricia, we talked about this after Thanksgiving." "We talked about no such thing." Mom snapped, unusually sharp. "Morgan's my daughter. Of course she's welcome." The room was so quiet you could hear ice in glasses. This wasn't how I pictured this confrontation, before extended family and Mom's bridge club, but maybe public accountability was needed. "There's a pattern," I said to Mom, but loud enough for all. 4 years, my words have been twisted. Work absences painted as neglect. My choices framed as abandoning family. Brooke stepped forward, smile tight. "This isn't the time, Morgan. Always making it about you, even on Mom's birthday." "That's my point," I gestured. "This narrative, selfish, self-centered, it's been built, but it's not true." I faced the room. "Many of you knew me as a kid. I'm not perfect, but I've always loved my family. My career took me to Boston, not the moon. Phone calls and visits go both ways." Cousin Stephen nodded slightly. Aunt Diana whispered to Uncle Robert. "Brooke," I said, using my boardroom tone, "has been undermining my relationship with our parents, exaggerating conflicts, framing my achievements as betrayal." "That's absurd," Brooke scoffed, but her eyes flickered nervously. "Is it?" I turned to Jesse. "What did Brooke say about me before today?" Jesse looked uneasy but answered. "That you were cold, career-obsessed. Said Mom was unsupportive and the family held you back." "I never said that," I said firmly. "It was implied," Brooke insisted. "No, it wasn't," I countered. "At Thanksgiving, after you said I thought I was better than everyone, I said I built my career myself." "That's not an attack, it's a fact." Mom looked devastated. "Brooke, have you been turning us against Morgan?" Brooke's composure broke. "You don't get it. She left. She got to be the big executive while I stayed, handling everything, being the good daughter. And what thanks do I get? You light up more for her calls than for me." Her raw pain silenced the room. Despite everything I felt for her, we'd both been trapped in childhood roles. Her the achiever who stayed, me the rebel who left. "Brooke," Mom said softly, "I've never compared you. I love you both differently, because you're different people." "Then why keep her third-place science fair certificate?" Brooke demanded, tears brimming. 15 years ago, and you still have it." I was stunned. That certificate symbolized favoritism to her, not the support I'd felt. Dad, quiet until now, spoke. "We should talk privately." "No," Mom said firmly. "I'm tired of secrets in this family." She turned to the guests. "I'm sorry for the drama. Please enjoy the food and music. My family needs a moment." She led us to a side room, Dad, Brooke, Jesse, and me. As the door closed, I saw guests whispering. In the room, Mom took charge. "Sit, all of you." We did, like kids in trouble. "Robert," she said, "did you turn Morgan away for my birthday?" Dad squirmed. "I was protecting you after what she said about the family." "What exactly did she say?" Mom pressed. "Not Brooke's version, her words." Dad looked confused. That we held her back, that she had to build her life because we didn't support her. That's not what I said, I interjected. I said I built my career myself. It wasn't an attack. Mom turned to Brooke. Have you been keeping Morgan and me apart? Brooke's defiance cracked. I was tired of being overlooked. Morgan swoops in for holidays, gets all the attention, then leaves while I'm here daily, driving you to appointments, helping with the house. Appointments? I cut in. What appointments? Mom sighed. I've had mild depression and memory issues. Not serious, but tough. Brooke's been helpful. You never told me, I said, hurt. Brooke thought it might stress you with your busy job, Mom admitted, then frowned. But that wasn't her call. The pieces clicked. Mom's distance, Brooke's gatekeeping. It wasn't just neglect. I'm sorry, Jessie said suddenly. I should have spoken up sooner. I heard conversations where Morgan's words were twisted. Brooke glared at him. You're taking her side? Your boss over your girlfriend? It's not about sides, Jessie said. It's about truth. That word lingered. Truth, something our family had avoided, favoring easy narratives over hard realities. I want to start over, I said into the silence. All of us. With honesty. No more triangulation or gatekeeping. Mom took my hand. I want that too. I've missed you, Morgan. Dad cleared his throat. I might have misjudged things if you're telling the truth. Not an apology, but big for him. Brooke stayed silent, tears falling, her perfect daughter image crumbling. I couldn't tell if she was grieving it or relieved. This won't fix overnight, I said. But it's a start. Mom held me back as we rejoined the party. Your gift, the brooch, she said. How did you know? You showed me Grandma's jewelry box when I was 10, I said. You loved a similar one that got lost. Her eyes teared. You remembered. I remember what matters, Mom, I said, squeezing her hand. Distance doesn't mean I'm not here. The party resumed, tension lighter. Family started connecting with me, not just small talk. Even Dad asked about my work with real interest. Brooke kept her distance, processing. As Mom cut her cake, with me and Brooke on either side, reflected in her smile, I felt hope, unexpected but real. Monday, back in Boston, I felt emotionally drained but clear. The confrontation was tough but necessary. Rachel greeted me with coffee. How was the family reunion? Eventful, I said, smiling faintly. Very eventful. Did they see the amazing woman you've become? She teased. They're starting to, I realized. That morning, HR emailed about Jesse Lawson's transfer request from engineering to product development, a lateral move out of my chain. I called him. You didn't have to transfer, I said. It's cleaner, he replied. How's Brooke? Struggling, he sighed. Your confrontation broke her narrative. She gave me an ultimatum Saturday, quit Vertex, or we're done. What did you say? That I respect myself too much to let anyone control my career. I felt guilty. I didn't mean to cause this. You didn't, he said. This was coming. I've seen her conflict patterns. Your confrontation just sped it up. I met our chief ethics officer, Diane, explaining the situation clinically. I need to ensure no impropriety in managing this, I said. Document everything, Diane advised. Recuse yourself from Jesse's decisions and consider an executive coach for personal professional boundaries. I followed her advice, applying corporate rigor to family drama. I also booked an emergency session with Dr. Levine. You stood up for yourself, she noted. How'd it feel? Terrifying, I admitted. Then freeing. Your family dynamics are classic, she said. Golden child who stays, scapegoat who leaves. Neither role is fair. How do we fix it? I asked. Honesty and adjusted expectations, she said. Change takes time if it happens. 2 weeks later, Mom called. Her doctor confirmed early-stage cognitive decline. Not Alzheimer's, but progressive memory issues. I should have told you, she said. Brooke thought. Mom, I cut in. Promise me you'll tell me directly from now on. No middlemen. I promise, she said, resolute. And I've been thinking, can I visit Boston? See your life. I was stunned. In 15 years, my parents hadn't visited. I'd love that, I said. Next month. Your dad's got a fishing trip, she said, implying she wanted to come alone. I sent flight options that night. At work, The Singapore expansion sharpened my focus. Personal clarity boosted my professional edge. I made bolder decisions, pushed back harder, advocated fiercely. Something's different, my boss Alan said after a tough vendor negotiation. More grounded. I'm bringing my whole self to work, I replied, surprising us both. Jesse and I kept things professional, but occasional coffee chats helped process the family drama. His relationship with Brooke was on hold, though they talked sometimes. She's in therapy, he said. Your mom insisted. That gave me hope. Brooke seeking help suggested she might face her role in our dysfunction. 3 months later, the CEO called me to discuss a VP role for global operations, more responsibility, travel, and visibility. During the interview, Stephanie Davis asked, "This role needs tough conversations and standing firm. Tell me about a time you showed that outside work." I shared an edited version of the birthday confrontation, focusing on truth and boundaries. "That's why we want you," Stephanie said. "Your skills are great, but your integrity and courage stand out." I accepted the VP role and called Mom first. "I'm so proud," she said, clear and present. "I always knew you'd do big things. Even when I got 3rd place in science fairs?" I teased. "Especially then," she said. "You did it your way." 3 months after the confrontation, Mom arrived at Logan Airport. I waited nervously, feeling like it was a first date. "Morgan," she called, waving. She looked frilier but vibrant. "Welcome to Boston," I said, hugging her. "I can't believe you're here." I took 3 days off. Rachel checked for a fever and showed her my life, my apartment, my coffee shop, the library garden. "It's beautiful," she said by the waterfront. "I see why you love it." On day 3, I brought her to Vertex. Seeing her pride as colleagues praised me healed something deep. This was Morgan the leader, not the absent daughter. Jesse greeted us professionally, his warmth toward Mom genuine. He'd become an ally in our healing. Back in Chicago, Mom sent small gifts, a book, a scarf, saying, "I see you." Dad emailed tech articles with comments like, "Thought you'd like this." Small steps, but real. Brooke was trickier. 2 months post-confrontation, she called. "I've been thinking," she said, "and in therapy. I was wrong about some things. How I portrayed you to Mom and Dad wasn't fair. Not an apology, but big for her." "Thanks for saying that," I said. "Jesse says you've been professional," she added. "He respects you." "He's a good guy," I said. "We're working through things," she said vaguely. My VP role meant more travel, including Chicago layovers. I started scheduling dinners with Mom, sometimes overnight stays with Dad. These short visits built something realer than tense holiday gatherings. Mom's health stabilized with treatment. "Less stress helped," she said. "Family tension was making me sick." 6 months later, I hosted Thanksgiving in Boston, reclaiming the holiday. Mom and Dad came. Tyler brought his girlfriend. Brooke declined but sent a thoughtful gift basket. Around my extended dining table, I felt authenticity, not performance. "Before we eat," Mom said, raising her glass, "thank you, Morgan, for bringing us together, not just here but emotionally. Your courage changed us." Dad nodded, emotional. "I've been rethinking the father I've been and want to be. I'm proud of you, Morgan, for your success, but more for your integrity." Tears stung my eyes. Later, Brooke texted, "Hope dinner went well. Maybe next year." Those words held more hope than 1,000 post photos. Professionally, my leadership grew authentic and compassionate. I mentored young women at Vertex, sharing my journey. "Your worth isn't your family's approval or your job," I told an analyst. "It's living authentically and treating others with dignity." In my review, Stephanie noted, "You've always been technically great. Now you bring heart. That's rare." The confrontation I feared would break my family started its healing. We're still messy, still learning, but conscious now, with courage to call out bad patterns and forgive them. Mom's words in Boston lingered. "Being excluded from where you don't belong helps you find where you do." The brooch became her favorite, worn at every family event, a symbol of being seen. This spring, we're planning family therapy, Mom, Dad, Brooke, Tyler, and me. Not for a crisis, but to keep healing. I've booked my flight. Family isn't a fixed point, it's a journey. Healthy boundaries don't divide us, they let us connect as our true selves. Have you ever faced family who misunderstood you? How did you handle it? Share below. If this resonated, hit like and subscribe for more stories on navigating complex relationships and finding your voice. Thanks for listening to my journey. And remember, healing starts with the courage to speak your truth, even when your voice trembles.